Hi everybody, this is Module 3, Lesson 4, and today we're going to be adding fractions with sums between 1 and 2. I want to remind you that you should have a paper or a whiteboard handy so you can work along with me and make the models. Practice labeling everything. If you feel like I'm going too fast, you can push the pause button and catch up in your model drawing and then press the play button and I will start the lesson again. Before we start anything new, I want to review a little bit about how do we know if our answer is going to be less than 1 or more than 1. So let's take a look at 1/3 plus 1/4. We did this one yesterday. And when I look at this, I know that my answer is going to be less than 1. And the way that I know that is that 1/3 is less than 1/2. And I can also see that 1/4 is also less than 1/2. I need 2 halves to equal 1, and if both of the fractions I'm adding are less than 1/2, I know my answer is going to be less than 1. It's just going to be a simple fraction. Now I want to add 1/2 plus 3/4. Now when I look at this problem, I can see that my answer is going to be more than 1 because I have a half and 3/4 is more than a half. So when I add everything together, I know I'm going to have a half plus some other leftover that's going to create a fraction as well as a part that adds up to 1. So we're going to solve these the same way that we did yesterday. We're going to draw our area models. 1/2 will have 2 parts. We're going to shade one of the parts and label it. And 3/4 will have 4 parts in our whole. And we will shade 3 of them. And we'll make sure that we label everything. I would really like you to get in the habit of doing this so when I am looking at your tests later on in the module, I can understand what your thinking was. Now, as you recall, the next thing we're going to do is transfer the vertical line on the left into our area model on the right, and we'll transfer those 3 horizontal lines on the right to our area model on the left. And now both of our area models have similar units, and our new unit is 8 because 2 times 4 is 8. And when I look at 1/2, I can count the shaded parts and I see that I have 4 out of 8 parts shaded. And when I look at the area model on the right, I count the shaded parts and I see that I have 6 of the 8 parts shaded. So I'm going to be very careful up above that I do the equivalent fraction. When I make my equivalent equation, I want to put the fractions in the same order they were in the first equation. So 1/2 equals 4/8 and 3/4 equals 6/8, and when I add them together I get 10/8. Now at the beginning I estimated and I realized that my answer was going to be more than 1, and I'm looking at my answer now and I can see for sure that it's more than 1 because my numerator is larger than the denominator. If I had 8/8, that would be 1 whole, but I have 10/8, so I know that I have 1 whole and a little bit more. Now if I go back down to my area model, I see on the right I have 2 empty spaces, so I'm going to cross off 2, actually let me change my color here, I'm going to cross off 2 of these shaded 8s, and I'm going to move them over here. And there's my 1 hole, and I still have 2 left over. So my mixed number is going to be 1 hole, and 2 8s. Another way of doing it is to just look at your fraction, and you can subtract the denominator from the numerator. 10 minus 8, you can do that one time, and then you have 2 8s left over. So do what works for you. You can look at the improper fraction and subtract, or you can move things around down on your area model if you're a more visual person, and that helps you figure it out. Okay, we're going to try one more. 2/3 plus 3/5, and I can see once again that my answer is going to be more than 1, because 2/3 is greater than 1/2, and 3/5 is also greater than 1/2. So I'm going to make my area model, and I'm going to draw 2 lines to cut the first area model into thirds, and it's 2/3, so I'm going to shade 2 of the parts, and the area model for the second fraction will be cut into 5 parts, and I need to shade in 3 of those 5 parts. I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to, I need to label everything. Don't forget to label. 1 hole, this is 2/3, and this is 3/5. Okay? Now I'm going to make sure that my units are the same, and I'm going to do that by basically moving those lines, or what I'm really doing is multiplying. I'm multiplying the area model on the right by 3, because the one on the left is cut into 3 parts, and I'm multiplying the area model on the left by 5, because the one on the right is cut into 5 parts. And when I'm done, I should have 15 parts or units in each one of my area models. So my new denominator will be 15. This means that now I can add them together. And 2/3, when I change it to 15ths, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 shaded. And when I look at 3/5, when I converted it to 15ths, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 15ths shaded. I'm going to go up to my equation and show that I converted 2/3 to 10/15ths, and I converted 3/5 to 9/15ths, and when I add them, sure enough, it's more than 1, it's 19/15ths. There are 2 ways to change this into a mixed number. I can look at my fraction, and I can say, okay, I know that 15/15ths is 1, and then I'm going to subtract the 15/15ths from that 19, and I will have 4/15ths left over. Or I can look over at my area model, and I'm going to move some things around. I look at the 3/5, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/15ths open. So I'm going to cross off 6/15ths over here. 6. And I'm going to move them over here to fill up the 1. And then I'm going to count how many 15ths I have left over. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I have 1 whole, and I've got these 4 15ths left over. Still going to be 1 and 4 15ths. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that lesson. If you feel like you need to review some of the 4th grade material before you go back and do it again, if are some things that you're having trouble with, you can go on to IXL, log on to your account, and 4th grade P.3 is going to be a mixed review. P.16 will help you compare fractions. And most importantly, P.22 will review conversions between improper fractions. That's what we call a fraction where the numerator is larger than the denominator, remember. It will help us convert between improper fractions and mixed numbers if you need to review that. I'll see you all tomorrow.